Since nobody wanted to say anything, I'll take a few minutes of your time. And we're referring to the new authorities as legitimate authorities. So I went back to this transcript of the phone conversation between the Foreign Minister of Estonia and Baroness Ashton of March 5. I explained that I did it for two reasons. One, the Foreign Minister of Estonia confirmed that those were authentic remarks which he made. And two, unfortunately, that transcript, which created quite a stir in Russian and some European media, was completely ignored by the mainstream American media. And I specifically quoted two elements of the remarks which the Foreign Minister of Estonia made to Baroness Ashton. The first one, when he describes the intimidation of the members of parliament of Ukraine, when unwanted people visit them, and when the journalist who accompanied him saw a member of parliament being beaten up in broad daylight in downtown Kiev. So you can imagine what is happening outside of broad daylight on the eyes of journalists. So under those circumstances, it's hard to imagine how such a parliament operating under such circumstances can be regarded as a legitimate parliament which can pass legitimate decisions on the future of Ukraine. And the second quotation which I presented to members of the Council was the one referring to the conclusion which the people in Ukraine came up to, that it was one source of sniper fire which killed a large number of people during the final stage of the dramatic developments in Kiev. And of course, it's not, and also to the fact that the new authorities somehow are avoiding investigating this this shooting and what happened in Kiev in the last days of the crisis, which led to the February 21 agreement and further dramatic developments. I suggested that maybe it's one reason why they are trying to walk away from the February 21 agreement, that it does provide for investigation. As to who was the source of sniper fire, you may have seen the footage on the internet, I've seen it on television, that there were clearly opposition snipers who took over a hotel in downtown Kiev, who were working as snipers, shooting at somebody in the streets. So now it's obvious that they were the ones who were killing both the policemen and those who were protesting in order to exploit even further protest and take power by force to execute this coup in Ukraine. These are my Matthew.
Yeah, sure. I wanted, this issue of the same snipers shooting at both, do you think this is within the type of thing that Mr. Simonovic should be investigating? And also the U.S. sanctions today. I know that you sometimes say you only speak about the UN. The U.S. announced that it has a travel ban list and new set of sanctions. Do you think it's useful for the process taking place in there?
Well, first of all, I hope Mr. Simonovic and in fact Mr. Lyall too can at least encourage this investigation, and that would be they are playing their part in implementing at least one part of February the 21 agreement. As to the sanctions, I don't want to go into it. It's a double-edged sword, and of course we cannot possibly regard it as something which is useful under any circumstances. Go ahead.
Yeah, could we just lift it up a bit? Okay, thanks. That's good. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You heard what Ambassador Churkin said about this leaked audio of Catherine Ashton, and the Estonian Prime Minister on that says that it may be the same snipers that killed both the police and the people in the street. And Baroness Ashton says, yes, we would like that investigated. So what I wonder is, what weight should this be given in considering what's happened since? And is this the type of thing that Mr. Simonovic and the UN should investigate in his mission in the country?
I'm not going to comment on an intercepted telephone call. The Estonian government has made its position very clear on that. But what I will say is that the British government expects and demands accountability for all human rights violations and abuses. So if there have been human rights abuses, and we know that there have because there were snipers used, there were people killed in Kiev, of course that should be fully investigated, and we would welcome that.